Momo PSB. While he was presenting, I was hearing the word agents and at times merchants. Are these two words, can they be interchangeably used? And then if there's an open ecosystem, for example, how does that add to your advantage as Mtn Nigeria, and does that increase your cost?
I actually think some of those questions are best answered by the subject matter expert, Ellie. Okay? I'm not quite sure I have a full understanding of the open ecosystem.
Where anybody could just probably just come in.
Open API, yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
Let me allow Ellie to take those ones and I'll take the follow-up ones.
Okay, so thank you very much for the question. In terms of agents and merchants, they provide two different services to our customers. Our agents are the point of interaction of customers, first of all, where they get onboarded, where they are able to fund their wallet, where they are able to access other related services through the support of the agent, and also where they are able to cash out or take money out of their wallets when they need to do that. Whereas in the case of the merchant, these are service providers who are accepting mobile money as a means of payment for the service that they offer. So that's the clear distinction between the agents and the merchants. But of course, the customer of ours who is an agent can also play the part of a merchant too. They can play the dual role where they still accept their own services and still offer agent services. But in terms of distinction, that is a clear distinction between the two. And on the open platform, it has a lot of advantages. First of all, it allows for fintechs to connect to our platform and offer innovative solutions that we will not have to burden ourselves in developing. And when they develop those solutions become available to our customer base. So we are expanding the scope of services that customers can access in a very fast and agile manner, and that improves on the utility of our platform to our customers. Because in the end, if the customer has multiple uses of our service platform, is to our advantage. But we are also offering these fintechs who may not have the capacity and the investment to be able to invest in huge platforms like this, to use ours to propel their innovative ideas. I hope that explains.
Okay. CEO, maybe I'll come back to you again. When I stepped up now, some people are wondering, you said you are ready to provide the medium-term update in 2024. All right. And they're wondering, why not now?
Okay, first, I mean, the one thing I do want to reaffirm from what Ellie said is, look, every mobile money wallet can be a merchant. Okay? But small and medium enterprises, not large businesses, it could be Hilton Hotel that can be also a merchant as accepting mobile money payments. If you look at Safaricom, a lot of small traders just use their personal wallet as merchants acceptance. So, but we look at it as more businesses. So why not now? Because there's a lot of volatility in the market. We can give an guidance today, and next week is changed, and the week after is changed, and the week after is changed. And that would be just too turbulent for the markets to get a good sense of what's happening. I think they've gotten good feedback on the actions that the federal government, particularly the central bank, is taking on intervention, clearing the backlog of commitments on US dollars. That will affect the confidence of the market in the foreign exchange rates. That will affect the foreign exchange rate and will affect the outlook for us going forward. So we prefer to do it at the regular quarterly reporting period, particularly at a time of volatility like this, because if we release anything today, we're going to probably have to update it in a week's time, and a week's time, and a week's time. And until that's clear, I don't think it will have much value.
Okay. Madam, people are wondering, when will MasterCard start its work with PSB, and what will be the focus areas?
I hope you do understand. I won't be able to delve into so much detail about MasterCard at this time, but I can refer to the presentation which Ellie made earlier on, where he spoke about the opportunities we are looking at in terms of advanced payments. That's in terms of the cards, using the MasterCards for customers to be able to access and withdraw from their accounts as well as remittances.
Okay. All right. We have Ellie here, we have Molara here, the CEO is here. The floor is open. We can begin to engage them now. In case there are some questions you missed while the CEO was here, you can ask those questions now. I can see a lot of hands up.
The EV multiple of the transaction with MasterCard with respect to the Momo business. Thank you.
When she just said that she was not ready to give details, but madam, I don't know if you want to add some flex to what you said earlier.
Thank you. I did mention earlier on that the MasterCard deal, I'm not permitted, or it's not a time when we can disclose details about that. So we've just highlighted that in terms of our plans, how we intend to serve our customers, the propositions that we'll be looking at around MasterCard, but not into the details of the numbers. I hope you understand.
I mean, that's a group transaction. And this is Mtn Nigeria Capital Markets Day. I think Ralph, Tato, and the team, Serene, have been engaged, the international investor base looking at MTN Group, and they will provide answers on those kinds of questions. Thank you, Lara.
Okay, so more questions, please.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Soji Sholanke here once again, heading Fintech Investment Banking for ABSA. So I think the question that was asked earlier, that's actually public information. So if you actually check some of Ralph's interviews, I think he's answered that question previously. But in terms of Ellie's presentation, thank you very much for the additional insights. Really good to hear about your comment around the accelerated shift to advanced financial services from basic, giving your learnings about the Nigerian market. I think that was a very good update. Also good to see how well you are looking to leverage the MTN core infrastructure, so whether that's the brand, but also certain additional benefits around geospatial mapping, distribution infrastructure, etc. Perhaps just two questions. One is, can you shed some additional color around the regulatory dynamics that would be helpful for what you're looking to achieve going forward? Okay, what are some of the changes that you'd like to see that are supportive of your ambitions and looking ahead? And the second point is just around your northern play. Okay, what would be required for you to actually roll out and execute successfully for northern Nigeria? Thank you very much.
Well, okay, thank you for the question. In terms of the regulatory dynamics, there are quite a number of ongoing engagements with the CBN. I think the whole idea is to create, an enabling environment where the financial service providers can cooperate and collaborate better. The banks should feel open enough to engage with us so we can work with them. The beauty of that is because of our distribution scale and our retail expertise, we can bring a lot more value to banking services that they would also benefit from. Instead of looking at the two businesses as competition, we should look at the level of collaboration that can come through. And one of the examples I gave was the instance of where we can offer microcredit to our customers. The banks have the funds to support that level of lending. We are going to be able to offer the customer base to them. We have the database and the intelligence on the customer to give them, a scoring matrix that improves on the quality of that lending. And if you take that example into a standard banking discussion, that would have gone to just one or two individuals where if there are any exposures, they are at a higher risk versus that money coming into a more, wider ecosystem where multiple people are in play and the amounts are smaller and therefore the risk levels are even better managed. What that does is that we bring all these people into the banking, the financial ecosystem, and whatever funds they onward bring into this ecosystem can also become available in floats to this bank. So that is the line of discussion we are pursuing with the regulator, so that it becomes a win-win conversation rather than a conversation of competition that does not help the ecosystem to grow. In terms of the northern play, I've talked about our distribution infrastructure. I've talked about the effort that has gone into, ensuring that this distribution infrastructure is well supported and incentivized at the right levels to drive the northern play. So that's one of the distribution infrastructure that we bring. And then of course, I talked about our technology, leveraging the assets of over 77 million Nigerians already who are on our network. And so these people can open a wallet within a minute, 2 minutes, because of the ease of opening that wallet and the fact that they can use any basic phone leveraging our USSD technology, and then also transition to the app for those who have smart phones. So those will be part of the northern strategy. Then the last but not the least is the area of retail, where we are trying to digitize the retail so that the average retailer can accept payment using either their own, personal numbers or their personal wallet, because those transaction values may not be high, or get a merchant wallet to be able to accept payment. So those are the frontiers we'll be looking at, and of course, where the palliatives come in, we think that we are well positioned to support in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. There are a few more hands in the audience. All right, somebody's already standing. Please.
Hi, my name is Farouk Mia from All Africa Partners in London. My question is for Mr. Ali again. Could you expand on the progress on growth of users and how this translates into growth in the financials? From what I read between the lines, you're saying the growth in users may be faster than what you saw in Ghana. However, the financials may be slower. So if you could expand on this, please.
Okay, let's take some more. All right.
Good.
All right, please.
Good afternoon. Silla again from EFG. Just to better understand subscriber acquisition and the technical operation of the system, as well as monetization. So on acquisition, just considering that Momo is not new to the market. You have banking apps, fintechs. Could you describe the ideal Momo customer and just how the network and acquisition process targets this ideal customer for MTN, where you have a competitive advantage to provide financial access in this market, given the competitive dynamics? From an operational perspective, could you help us understand interoperability in the market? To what extent does this go to? Is it interoperability of wallets, merchants, etc., and how that influences your approach to penetration overall? And from a revenue side, just to understand your pricing structure for the different services. So you have your cash in, cash out, and advanced services like payments. What's your pricing approach to that? Thank you.
Can you take one more question before you begin to answer?
Okay.
All right. Okay, one more. All right.
Yeah. I'm Uchenna from Xerox Investment Management. So this question is for Kyle. Personally, I'm very bullish with the digital product, but I love your optimism on the fintech. So I would like to understand on two particular areas of this fintech product. One is on user experience. I would like to say my own experience because I'm a Momo user as well. So I downloaded the application, the mobile application, and I registered just like any other user. And I will also use OP as well, which is something that is very common among the locals. So after you register, for each time you want to log into your Momo app, you have to put your password and your username and the OTP that will be sent to your phone number. and sometimes you might not, their phone number might be in a different phone, which is a kind of delay. And when you log in, for each transaction you want to do, at each stage, there's a latency of like 1 or 2 seconds, which is a delay. And why I see it as a delay is that when you use similar app that do similar service, you don't experience this particular delay. So I don't know if this is a play or is something the team is aware of. But I would like to know what the team is doing on the user experience to improve the user experience. Then 2 is on the issue of, he said one of the advantages MTN has Momo is the network and penetration of the Mtn Nigeria currently. So I want to understand how that's an advantage, how Momo as a business, is it a separate entity or is it integrated into Mtn Nigeria network? Because just like you use your phone number to create your Momo account, it's something you can also do on PalmPay and you can also do on OPay. So I want to know how Momo is different, or if there's any way it's integrated into the MTN network that creates some kind of extra advantage for the users. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So, do you want to kick off or him?
Well, maybe I'll start off by making 1 or 2 comments. The first thing is, particularly for the analysts, Eddie will talk about moving from focus on number of users' wallets and when that starts to provide financial results and yields. And we are in a bit of a different market and trajectory than what we've seen in the likes of Ghana, Rwanda, Uganda, Congo, Brazzaville, etc., etc. I'd also remind the audience that the journey of mobile money in Ghana started in 2009. There's a lot of expectations, and of course we're going to take all the learnings and compress the journeys that we've seen in other markets. But there is a certain period of hard grinding that you need to do to get up to scale. Other thing I wanted to point out is, particularly when you look at the financials of MTN Nigeria and you look at fintech revenue, we account for our extra time under fintech revenue, and there's a bit of a distortion between last year and this year as a result of the barring of outgoing calls for MSIs without NINs. So that, of course, depressed the growth of our extra time services. Now we've gotten through that. We also have a lot of initiatives around extra time to drive that revenue up. So when you're looking at the financials, keep in mind a lot of the financials, the actual revenue sees from extra time, which was distorted by last year. The advantage of having Momo PSB as a subsidiary, but it has a separate governance and it is regulated very clearly by the Central Bank of Nigeria, is a few things. We have a strong technology platform with KYC information. We follow all the regulations around data protection. So that's the first thing. There are a lot of overlaps in the kind of services that we can provide, from airtime recharge, and most importantly, the distribution infrastructure that we have across Nigeria. As Ellie has elucidated, 97% of the transactions in Nigeria are cash-based transactions, right? That's item number 1. To convert people from cash to electronic money, it's something that has to be done over time. People have to have the comfort of paying their cash into their account, transacting, very often taking their cash out. But over time, they take their cash out less and less. And the convenience of your ability to take cash in and out of your wallet is a critical part of it. Then, of course, we have the business intelligence on where the opportunities are, and of course, the skill competence of the team. So there's a lot of advantages. The primary one is the distribution network, the ease of opening accounts and knowing your customer. And of course, without governance, you will know that your money is always going to be safe. Ellie?
Okay, thank you, Carl. I think you've answered some of the questions. So I'll go straight to the one on progress and financials. In terms of the progress, like I highlighted, the booster plan is our accelerated program, to drive the growth that we envisage to deliver on our ambition 2025. And like I mentioned, we are beginning to see that progress. First of all, in terms of our wallets, we are at 3.6 million and still counting. And I referenced the fact that that 3.6 into our registered base of 27 million is about 13%. And some of the advanced markets were not at that pace in their second year. So it means that we are getting some traction into our operations. Then you talked about the financials. Yes, we are now, heavily running on basic services, and then we transition into advanced services. For this market in particular, the revenue at the basic service level, unlike countries in like Ghana and Uganda, the basic service revenues are limited. For instance, if you take person to person, which is the most pervasive service you find, today that service is offered at zero cost to the customer. So we don't monetize P2P. Whereas in the other markets you can compare us to, which is Ghana. Ghana started with a very healthy revenue on person-to-person transaction, and it's still a healthy part of the operations. Today accounts for close to 20-30% of their total revenue. So that is part of the differentiation you have in this market. So we will begin to see some of those numbers come true when we move into our advanced services, where we believe the pricing matrix will give us a lot of value. So that explains why you see the transition, but in terms of the financials, it will take a bit of time for the advanced services to kick in and give us the financial impact that we want. Then on the subscriber acquisition question, what I would say is, for the average person who has already an MTN line, what we are saying is that he is able to set up the basic wallet, leveraging that data. So the customer gives consent, and then that data then can be used to open a basic wallet for that customer. So if you now span that into our base, then it means that's the potential of wallets we can open on the fly and get going. Then in terms of the other advantages that brings, because we also have a very extensive distribution network, and we are converting quickly our retail channel into agent network. Our agent growth is also expanding very quickly. Today we are approaching 300,000 active agents, and so that means that we have a good amount of presence for customers to interact with our service and be supported. Then I talked about our merchant play, where we are now heading to 200K active merchants, which also means that we are supporting the opportunity for customers to pay for goods and services using their wallet. And so that increases the use cases and the interest that customers will have, and improves upon the customer adoption journey for us in this market. So the core of the focus now is in those areas. And then, of course, the fact that we are also transitioning quickly into advanced services to increase the use cases for our customers. There was a question on the app, and just to highlight that, yes, indeed, those concerns that you've picked up has been taken on board. And during my presentation, I indicated that we have actually come up with a new app, which will be getting to the market in the next coming days into weeks. And that will give you the kind of experience that you can now begin to compare with the experience that you want. And so we've taken those inputs into consideration, and we have put that into developing a new app, and you hear from us very soon about how that app will be transforming the experiences of our customers. So I hope that addresses the questions that I captured, unless I missed anything from the questions. Thank you.
May I just top and tail on the app matter, that we recognize that this is a gap that we had in the market. The team, Ellie, our IT team, created an agile squad, and we used the agile method to develop an app. And as Ellie has said, it's been accepted on both the Apple and Google Play stores. We're going to go to market very shortly. And what we did is we compared to best product in the market, and we're going to progress till we are by far the best. But we wanted to make sure that competitiveness to all the apps in the market, and you can mention any of the competition names, The OPay is obviously one of them, but we also look at the traditional banking applications and see what is the ease of use, what are the options you have, do you have all the functionality, how do we take off the number of steps you need to do to complete a transaction to minimize it, etc., etc. So we have a really good app. It's imminent to be launched. That's in Eddie's hands. And we're going to publish it, and you'll see that it's a product which is very, very strongly competitive with the market. Thanks.
Thank you very much, CEO. Let's take another set of questions, and I can see several hands up, please. Please, in your distribution of questions, the lady over there is the Chief Financial Officer of Momo PSB. So please also target her.
Excellent. I've got one lined up just for that, for the lady. I believe the PSB regulation requires a certain amount of rural coverage. I mean, do you see that as a hurdle for I guess for the PSB? And then the booster plan. What is the budget, or how much is it going to cost, or do you have a blank check from Modupe? Thanks.
All right, we'll just take one more and we'll leave it to them to answer and begin to wrap up.
Yeah, I've just got two quick ones.
Okay, all right.
The first one is just, could you help us reconcile a bit more why there's such a big gap between registered users?
We're not hearing you.
Can you move the microphone a bit closer?
Sorry. Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, so firstly, could you help us reconcile why there's such a big difference between registered users and active wallets? Just to understand a bit more of the background on that. And secondly, just on the remittance opportunity that you spoke about, we'd like to understand if your current license allows you to do that and how you plan to unlock that opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ellie, your...
Okay, so I'll take the last question. In terms of the registered and active, registered is anyone who has a wallet today, but activity is based on a 30-day cycle. You should have done at least one activity in a 30-day to be considered an active customer. So if you did a transaction over 30 days ago, when we classify our active base on a 30-day basis, that customer will not be included. So active customers are customers who have performed at least one transaction in 30 days. And registered is someone who has a wallet and may not have performed a transaction in the past 30 days. So that's the classification. Then on the remittance opportunity and the licensing conversation, yes, we are not directly licensed as an MTO, but we partner remittance institutions or companies to deliver the service. At the end of the day, it's a service offering to our customers who can receive remittances directly into their wallets. And that's where we come in. And that's where we partner institutions who have the license to do that, so we can leverage our resourcing opportunities to deliver the service to. So it's through partnership. And hopefully, if we get through with the MasterCard conversation, that's also another opportunity we see we can unlock with that partnership. Remittances, where it will be from account to wallet or wallet to account.
Well, it's been amazing 2 days. Wonderful. Let's put our hands together for Mtn Nigeria. Let's appreciate them. Wonderful. I was telling one of your staff earlier that I walked into the Congress Hall of the hotel, and I walked in here. This one seems to be created from Disneyland. Amazing. The creative people who put this room together, let's appreciate them. The technical guys, it's been wonderful. Thank you very much.
I'm so sorry, Ibiri. There is an investor holding up his hand, and I don't want people to fly all the way here and feel, even though we have another engagement, feel they didn't get the opportunity. So let's please go ahead and take the opportunity.
Sorry, I think we just missed the question about the booster plan and the cost.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Hold on. Lara.
There's a one beside me. Okay.
This one. Or you can use this one.
Hello?
Yeah, closer to your...
Can you hear me? Okay, good. Okay, so on the booster plan, you'd have heard Modupe talk about expense efficiency in his presentation. So he doesn't give open checks towards things like to booster plan or any initiatives. On the booster plan, without mentioning numbers, we do have approval after going through our capital allocation process to ensure that we are spending on the right things. And as Eli had presented earlier on, we are focusing on distribution, mainly around the customer, driving customer education awareness. Of course, the app that was mentioned as well, and product development. We're also doing a lot of branding and advertising in the market, which I'm sure you would have seen to improve our visibility and trade awareness.
Okay.
I apologize, I just didn't want him to feel like.
All right. I want to thank all of you. But for all the investors that left your countries and you are here, can we give them the legendary Nigeria round of applause for being here? We thank you. We appreciate you. Do not listen to what anybody is saying. This is the ultimate investment destination. We welcome you to Nigeria and we say thank you for being with us.